It's 2026 now. I hope you had a great New Year's, a good Christmas, nice holiday. I don't know if you can tell, but I'm also falling a little bit sick. So I'm sounding a little nasally. And I also noticed that watching my own videos, man, it might be a self-esteem issue, but I was like, man, I'm boring as hell. This year, 2026, one of my goals is to make more friends. Put it right here. This is my 2026 goals. It's not all of it. My girlfriend put up she has like a presentation party, like a 2020, like the year wrapped, and then you just like do a presentation of like what happened that year. It's really fun. I met a lot of new people there. I want to talk about how conflict is necessary for growth because my first video I did talk about how I wanted to kill myself. And then from then on, I've kind of invested in this idea of having a growth mindset. So when I did that, because I knew that I wanted to become more of me, I wanted to become more of a whole person. And I've always wanted to be better, like just always growing until I die so that like I can be happy with myself when I die. So that's what I have now. I've invested in this growth mindset, and then, years later I will be rich in the self, which is, I would say, kind of what matters the most. More than money, but money is also important. But hey, that's a different topic for another day. Conflict is necessary for growth. Once I had implemented this idea, I've actually kind of noticed that I've been going through a lot of conflict. Like I've always found myself in conflict, a lot of it. And I was always kind of thinking like, why is this always happening? Why am I always getting like really bad, shitty experiences with people and things in my life? And everything is always like, I'm always button heads with so many things going on. And that is kind of the test of life. I think everybody does go through their conflicts, right? It's not a special thing to me. It's not like once you have this growth mindset thing, you unlock conflict. It's like you'll just come through a lot of conflict in life. So I think I was just more aware of it because subconsciously I kind of wanted it because I knew that if I had to go through a lot of like, rough situations, I could grow from that. But, it's not necessarily true that you can grow only from rough shit. You can also grow from like really good stuff, and you can kind of be like, oh, wait, I learned that this is actually really good for me in a healthy way. But sometimes you got to get beat down. Sometimes life will just beat you down, brother. And that's what you're going to have to go through. You're going to have to go through a lot of conflict and not be one of the points, not be averting and not be avoidant and not be deflecting this conflict. Because I think when you get tested by life, right, and you come through conflict, the test is how can you come up on top of this conflict, right? Not, I wouldn't say the other person or whatever. It's like the conflict in isolation, this problem, how do you rise above that? And that is completely unique to you. How are you going to do it? Like nobody can give you that answer because that situation is just going to be by yourself. And, for me, most of the time, I do not rise above the conflict and I always get fucking beat back down. But because it keeps happening, I learn every little bit of conflict. I learn from these rough situations, and it can get so bad. Like my ex-girlfriend, she was beating me up. She was pretty abusive. I didn't know that this was abuse, like I didn't know that this was, fucking domestic violence. But she was like fucking elbowing me in the gut. She was, elbowing me a lot, punching me here and there, slapping me, and I thought this was love. I thought this was like, if I can get through the pain, then love hurts, love is pain. And then if I go through it, then, it means I love her because, maybe childhood, right? A lot of people think that way, but it's not true. You can't get beat up by your partner. That's messed up. And I did have to learn that the hard way, right? So now I know. So now in my current relationship, there is no violence. So that's really good. I did write pointers in my Instagram. I did write like, hey, do you guys want me to write a script? Because I feel like I don't know what the fuck I'm saying sometimes. I'm going scriptless. I'm scriptless. Like my ADHD is just taking over. But most of you most of my Instagram followers said don't write a script. They like the ADHD. So this is what we're gonna do. We're gonna try and do it another time. But it always makes me feel self-conscious. Most of us, I feel like, are wired to keep the peace or not rock the boat. When people say that they want to keep the peace and not rock the boat, and it means, hey, don't, like, basically shut the fuck up and like don't try and like start shit with me. Sometimes people do this so that you never get to the bottom of things. Example, I guess my ex-girlfriend. She like kept breaking up with me, and then I was like, what's this happening all the time? Come to find out, she's cheating on me. Every time I was asking her questions, being like, what's going on? What is this? And she's like, why do you have to keep asking me questions? Like, why do you have to keep asking questions? Like, a relationship shouldn't be an interview. And I was like, well, but like, we are going through problems. And I'm just trying to fix the problem. But she didn't see it that way. I'm so glad she's my ex-girlfriend now. But hopefully you're getting the picture. Now, it is definitely scary to be confrontational because sometimes, yeah, like you don't want to be uncomfortable. You don't want to have problems. You want peace and peace all the time because maybe life is so rocky. But was I talking about the ups and downs of life? The heartbeat monitor thing that I talked about. Did I talk about that last video? Shit. No script, don't know. That's why. Anyway, just to like touch on it, there's always like gonna be happy moments in life, and then it's gonna come down and it's gonna be kind of shit. And it's gonna come up again, it's gonna be really good, and it's gonna be kind of shit. And if you look at the heartbeat monitor, like the how your heart is beating, it's like there's like it's like an up, a down, and then a little bit of a up, a little bit of a down. You know what I mean? It's like there's always ups and downs in life, and this just means that you are alive and you're living. You know, a lot of people talk about, oh man, I wish my life was smooth. I wish it was easy going, and it's just like a flat line. And if you know what happens if you're a flat line, you're just dead. You're not living. So, invite conflict. Not well, being confrontational is definitely a scary thing, but it's definitely necessary for growth, which is what this video is about. I think when you come into conflict, when you come into a bunch of hard things that you might need to address in life, it's very important to confront these things. Otherwise, how can you move past it? How can you really grow? It's always gonna just kind of lingering there. And you know what? You might have to go through these similar situations or the same situation exactly multiple times over just to get over it. And that's gonna be rough, buddy. Hey, life is not supposed to be easy, but life is supposed to be played with multiple players. It's not a single player game. That's another I need to stop jumping around. See, this is ADHD peaking, but that's another video. Another point: conflict is a sign of difference, not disaster, which touches on the previous point, right? Because when you have to confront conflicts, it's different. Hey, I know it's gonna be really scary and it's gonna be all over the place. It sounds chaotic as shit. You don't really know where it's going. You can't really see past a certain point. So you have no control of what is gonna happen in when you address conflict. Blah blah blah. But it is not a disaster. It is not going to be. It might be messy, but it's not a whole disaster. It's not gonna ruin your life if you don't let it scale. Is that fair to say? Conflict is only a sign of difference, of a misunderstanding, perhaps. I hope that gives you a little more peace, a little bit of peace of mind when wanting to move and address conflicts in your life, because these are good things. Now, if you never disagree with anyone, you're not really being honest, or you're not surrounding yourself with people who challenge you. For me, I am really happy with my current group of friends, but if you noticed, my 2026 goals is to make more friends, because I always want to meet people who can add to my lives, and hopefully I can add something to their lives as well. But my current group of friends who I have not broken ties with, who are I think are like the coolest people, are people who always keep me accountable. Every time I step out of line, I say some Sometimes, look, I'm not racist, but sometimes a racist something comes out that sounds very racist, and it could be I'm not saying the N word, okay. It's like it could just be like internalized racism from like, conditioning growing up because society happens. So there's a lot of things I need to unlearn. And every time I just, run about my mouth, right? Sometimes something a little messed up comes out, and my friends are being like, "Hey, what the fuck did you just say? You can't say that." And I'm like, "Oh, um, okay, but like I get them. That might have been bad, but I don't understand why is bad. Can I ask questions and try to fucking get to the bottom of this? You know, one example, very I don't so I don't have this friend anymore, unfortunately. But one time I made a bisexual joke, okay? I made a joke. I was like, "Oh, you're dating a man, so you're straight until further notice." She canceled me. She fucking did not want to be friends with me anymore. She called me biphobic. She called me like I'm like a horrible person. And I was like, "Damn, I really fucked up there, but I don't know why that is." So I started asking her like, why is it biphobic? And then she wouldn't really explain it to me. She would just fucking keep telling me like, "Hey, fuck you." So I tell this joke to my other friends who happen to be bisexual, and they were like, I would have laughed, but I understand her point of view as well because that is biphobic. And then they explained this to me, and then I was like, see, now that makes sense because me as a straight person, I don't really understand bisexuality. I don't really understand so many things, right? I don't understand. I mean, just generally in person, I'm young, I'm dumb, I don't really know a lot of things, but I want to learn. So help me understand, but some people just don't have the time. That's whatever. Anyway, so I have these friends who will sit down and tell me things, and at the same time, they will sit down and I will tell them things so that they can, it's like that. We have that kind of friendship, which is, I feel, very, very precious. But, at the same time, it's because we do keep each other accountable, but we do butt heads a lot. Like my friends and I, like, we always have conflict. We just like care about each other and we love spending time with each other, especially, when we get to like have fun and then also have conversations that can enrich ourselves. And that's why I think people like that are the best. But I also know a lot of people who are unable to do that or do not want to do that. They want to avoid these situations at all costs. Just leave me alone in my little bubble. Whatever exists in there only exists in there, and then nothing else outside matters. I think that's really bad. That's detrimental. That's isolation. So I've always encouraged people to just step out of their comfort zones, meet new people, hang out with a bunch of people, because these things matter, right? For your personal growth and for the betterment of society. Because when you grow as a person, you can definitely help out and make the world a better place, as long as you keep growing in a positive way. But yeah, some people just love to exist within themselves and their little inner circle, and they just don't want to expand beyond that. So it becomes quite difficult to like talk to these people. And it is a bit sad. So I couldn't really be friends with a whole bunch of them. For better or for worse. There are some NS like people in my army, they ooh man, if I was gonna talk about people, I'm glad they're gonna, some people I know, they are just like, ugh, just ugh. I might cut that out. But then again, they don't even watch my videos. I hope not. They might. Oh man, you know what? They probably might be like hate washing. So yeah, conflict is not your enemy. It is just something that happens and will always happen. And it will just help you become a better person. You will enrich you with experience. When you get a job, when you do life stuff in general, when you interact with people, you know what? Should I tell you? Look, when I was a little boy, I didn't know how to talk to girls because I was in a boys' school, right? I was in a boys' school in primary school and in secondary school, and I had no women interaction. I did not talk to girls. So the first few times I was talking to girls, it was horrible. It was so bad. And I think a lot of people can relate to that, I don't know how to give you an example now. I talk to most of my friends. Most of my friends are girls. Is that true? See, I have like 3 straight friends, I think, right now. Straight guy friends. Everybody else is all over the spectrum. So do I have more guy friends than I don't know. It doesn't matter. But I really, really love my friend group. But I feel like I could only get a friend group so precious like them. Who are, I mean, sometimes I don't really see them a lot because they're very busy people and they are meeting more people because they're just cool like that. We're all growing like that. We're all over the place like that. You know, but there is no bubble. There's always people coming in, coming out. You know, as much as this friendship stuff expands, my pool of friends expands. My mind also, and my soul even more is expanding. Man, sometimes they're the most corny shit. I could have never built this mindset if not for coming through a lot of conflict. Because I will not lie. When I was going through the earliest stages of, you know, fighting through all the conflicts of like my early life and like trying to be better as a person, I was doing it by myself. Like I had very few friends. I had very few guidance. If anything, I had no guidance. I had very little guidance. My guidance was all like YouTube and YouTube. It was a lot of YouTube. Lucky that I clicked on the right videos. Otherwise, I might be a really shitty person. I mean, I hope that I'm not a really shitty person. I think a lot of my friends tell me that I'm doing all right and I'm, you know, hitting the right path. When you come through conflict, just know that at the end of it all, what you want to do is be a better version of yourself. And that's what is going to help you get through anything at all. It might be a waste of the conflict. You may damn well know it's going to be a waste of goddamn time, but sometimes you're going to go through some dumb shit and then you're going to be like, fuck man, you know what? More points for more like little, it's just this, you know, a little bit can go a long way. This is another story. And then you just become better. You're always just going to be better. 2026 is for making new friends. It's for becoming so much better as a person and becoming the best version of yourself so far. So, look at my labubus. Look, one video a week, 2026. I mean, it was there. It was on my goals. See you next week.